Welcome back to Investing Talk Podcast. It's an interesting time to be an investor
Absolutely.
right now, and today we're going to be focusing on Veren.
VRN.
VRN,
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of different angles that we're going to be looking at here, everything from stock analysis to technical analysis, and of course,
News.
the big news, a merger that just happened. So we're going to try to piece all of this together for you and give you a sense of
What
what it all means for Veren itself, but also
for the sector.
for the sector, exactly.
Yeah. And, even more broadly for the market.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, we can't ignore
Right.
what's been happening in the market just to sort of set the stage here.
Yeah, just to give some context.
March 10th, 2025, yesterday as we're recording this, so some pretty big moves. The Dow Jones was down 500 points.
Yeah, 500 points. And really,
I mean, that's significant.
that is, and it's really a reaction to, President Trump had made some remarks that, are stoking fears about a potential recession.
Yeah, it wasn't a good day for the market.
No, and it wasn't just the Dow. We saw a lot of big tech companies taking hits as well. NVIDIA, Tesla. These companies are seeing selling pressure right now.
Okay, so we've got this backdrop of sort of, uncertainty or volatility,
Right.
and then boom, this big announcement comes out on March 10th, a $15 billion transaction.
Yeah, a huge merger between Veren and Whitecap Resources.
Right, and I think
And that's what's really fascinating here.
what's so interesting to me is how Veren's stock responded.
Yeah, bucking the trend.
Completely bucking the trend. So that's what we want to understand.
Yeah, let's dig into that.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's start with the actual announcement itself. $15 billion. That's no small change, right?
Right.
Veren and Whitecap Resources merging, the idea is to create a real powerhouse in Canada, a leading producer of light oil and condensate.
And it's not just about being a producer. It's about becoming the dominant player, the biggest landholder in some very key regions.
Right, talking about the Montney and Duvernay regions in Alberta.
Yeah.
These are prime areas for oil and gas.
Hugely important.
So they're really positioning themselves strategically.
Yeah, and the market reacted immediately, like I said before.
Oh, yeah, pre-market trading on March 10th. Veren's stock price jumps 18%.
18%.
And then it keeps going throughout the day, closes about 16% higher.
It's incredible to me because
It's a complete divergence
everything else is going down.
From the overall market, absolutely. And, we were just talking about those tech stocks selling off.
Right. And so just to put some numbers on that, NVIDIA, we saw reports that their market cap is down significantly since January. I mean, we're talking a big drop.
Yeah.
So Veren's doing something right.
They are.
Clearly. And, if you're a Veren shareholder, this deal's looking really sweet right now because they're getting a 40% premium on their shares as part of the transaction.
That's not something you see every day.
That's a huge premium.
And not only that, but they're also expecting a higher dividend once the merger goes through. So for the existing Veren shareholders, this is looking pretty good.
Yeah, that's a really attractive part of the deal. And I think that 40% premium really signals something. It tells me that Whitecap sees a lot of value in Veren beyond just, the land that they're acquiring. I mean, maybe Veren had some really innovative extraction technologies, or maybe they've got some very favorable long-term contracts. It's possible that make this a really strategic acquisition for Whitecap.
Yeah, you have to think about the synergies that they're looking for.
Yeah, absolutely. So who's going to be running this new combined company?
Well, Whitecap's management team is going to be taking the lead, but it's not a complete takeover. Veren's going to have a presence on the board. 4 of their directors, including the CEO, Craig Brixa, are going to be joining the board.
So there's some continuity there, and I think that's probably a smart move, to keep some of that Veren expertise.
Yeah, because there's clearly something valuable there that Whitecap recognizes.
Right, and looking at it from Whitecap's perspective, the financials are looking pretty good as well.
Yeah.
They're projecting that this merger is going to be 10% accretive to their cash flow.
Yeah.
And even more impressively, 26% accretive to their free cash flow.
So it's a win-win for both sides, potentially.
Yeah, and just to break that down a little bit for our listeners,
right.
When we talk about something being accretive to cash flow, what we mean is that Whitecap expects this merger to actually increase their per-share cash flow.
Yeah.
So it's immediately beneficial to their shareholders.
Right. It's not just some, long-term speculative play. It's something that's going to impact their bottom line pretty much right away.
And that's often what drives these mergers and acquisitions. It's these...
Absolutely. The financial benefits are a huge part of it.
The potential to increase cash flow and really boost those returns.
Right.
Okay, so let's shift gears a little bit and talk about some of the fundamental analysis that we can do here. The fact that Veren was able to command such a high premium in this merger really suggests to me that there's some real underlying operational strength
in their operations. And they were described as having, a world-class production and asset base. So that...
Yeah, that wording is pretty telling.
Yeah, that definitely speaks volumes. We don't have, specific recent earnings reports to look at, but clearly the market is reacting positively to this news, which tells you that there's a certain degree of confidence.
Yeah, a vote of confidence from the market in Veren's intrinsic value and their performance.
Absolutely.
And we also have to look at the bigger picture, right? The industry as a whole.
Absolutely. What's happening in the energy sector.
What's happening in the energy sector. I mean, there's a lot of talk about oil prices potentially going up.
Right. And a lot of factors could contribute to that.
Yeah.
Potential policy shifts, under a future Trump administration.
Right. Tariffs.
Yeah. Tariffs, reduced regulation, things like that could really impact both domestic production and global supply chains.
Yeah. And so all of that could be really beneficial to oil producers like this new combined
Veren and Whitecap entity.
And I think it's smart of them to position themselves as, the dominant player in this key region.
At such a pivotal time.
At this time, because, if oil prices do go up, they're going to be
well-positioned
to really capitalize on that.
Absolutely. And, it's interesting if we zoom out even further and look at the broader market trends. We're seeing this really interesting divergence, aren't we, between the high growth tech sector and the more traditional energy companies. Almost like a rotation happening where investors are maybe getting a little spooked by the volatility in tech, and they're looking for something a little bit more
stable,
value stocks. Gen energy, with these potential tailwinds from, rising oil prices, that's starting to look pretty attractive.
And this merger, I think, really amplifies Veren's appeal within that value sector.
Absolutely, because by joining forces with Whitecap, they're going to create this even stronger cash flow machine.
Right, and that's what investors
want to see right now.
That's what they're looking for right now. They want something that's going to be reliable. Okay, so we've talked about the fundamentals. Let's dive into some of the technical analysis here. We talked about that price surge on March 10th. Veren closed in that 830 to 840 range in the TSX. That's a huge move in a single day.
It is, and it's even more impressive when you look at...
Especially considering...
Whereas the stock has been, year to date before that jump, they were down almost 30%.
30%.
That's a significant decline. And, looking at their 52-week range, it gives you even more perspective. The low was around 634. The high was 1267. So
this is a big jump.
This is a big move off of those lows.
And what about the volume on March 10th?
Oh, the volume was huge. Estimates are that it was well above their 20-day average, which is usually around 3 to 4 million shares. So that tells you that there's a lot of conviction behind this move.
Right.
People are buying in a big way.
And technically speaking, Veren broke through its 50-day moving average.
Decisively. And I think that 50-day moving average was somewhere in the $7.50 to $8 range. So that's a really bullish signal.
It is, and it's signaling that the short-term momentum has shifted.
Right.
That recent buying pressure is overcoming that downward trend that we were seeing.
Thank God.
But there is a but.
There's always a but.
We have to look at the 200-day moving average, which is still above the current price. And that's around that 925 to 950 level.
So that's telling us that.
It's telling us that the longer-term trend is still in play.
Right.
Even though we've had this big short-term surge, the longer-term picture is still a little bit
murky.
Yeah. And, another indicator to keep an eye on is the RSI, the Relative Strength Index.
Right.
Given how quickly the price has gone up, it's likely that the RSI is pretty high right now, probably in that 70 to 80 range, which is considered overbought territory.
Right. So that could mean
That could mean a pullback is coming?
The stock might be due for a little bit of a correction.
Okay, so what are some of the key levels that we should be watching here in terms of support and resistance?
Well, around that 750 level where that 50-day moving average was, that's going to be a key support level. And then below that, there might be some additional support in that 717 to 735 range.
Okay, and then on the upside?
On the upside, that 925 to 950 level where the 200-day moving average is sitting, that's going to be a big resistance zone.
Yeah, and potentially even $10.
Yeah, $10 could be another level to watch.
Okay, so big picture here. What does this all mean for investors who are looking at Veren?
Well, I think this merger has created a really interesting opportunity.
Yeah.
The premium that shareholders are getting, the higher dividend, the potential for enhanced cash flow.
Right. And we can't forget that strong recent performance, double-digit gains.
Momentum is on their side right now.
It's hard to ignore that, but obviously we always have to
be aware of the risks.
Talk about the risks.
Absolutely. A broader market downturn could impact Veren's performance, and oil prices are always volatile.
Yep.
So, I think a balanced approach is important.
Right.
Maybe consider Veren as part of a broader energy sector allocation. Diversify your holdings.
Right. Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Exactly.
And from a more technical standpoint, it sounds like traders might be looking at this as a buy opportunity right now.
Short term with a stop loss below that 750 support and a target up in that $9.50 to $10 range.
Yeah. But for someone who's thinking more long term,
I think I'd be a little more cautious. Maybe a hold for now until we see how that longer term trend develops.
Right. Wait for things to settle out a little bit.
But, the MLS is leaning towards a buy, but with an emphasis on risk management.
Always important.
Absolutely.
So to sum it all up,
what
we're seeing with Veren is this really positive momentum.
Yeah, a big shift.
Driven by this merger with Whitecap.
And it's happening against this backdrop of, a much more volatile, broader market.
Right. And it really highlights how sometimes, you get these company-specific events.
Right, these catalysts.
Or these strategic moves within a sector.
Absolutely.
That can create these opportunities.
Even in a turbulent market.
Even in a turbulent market. And I think, the potential benefits for Veren shareholders, both from the premium that they're getting now and the higher dividend in the future, really underscore
the strategic rationale behind this merger.
The strategy behind this move. And it really makes you think about how you approach investing.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, do you focus primarily on those big market trends?
Right. Are you just looking at the Dow and the S&P? Or
are you also looking for these individual company catalysts?
Or sector-specific events.
Right. What are those factors beyond, the big indices that maybe deserve more attention?
Yeah, it's a great question for investors to ask themselves. Are you paying attention to these kinds of moves, these mergers, these acquisitions?
Because sometimes that's where the real opportunities lie.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's about looking beyond the headlines and digging deeper into the individual companies and the dynamics of specific sectors.
And that's what we try to do here on Investing Talk Podcast. So we hope that this overview has been valuable for you.
Yeah.
And if you found it helpful,
absolutely,
we would really appreciate it if you would consider subscribing, liking, and leaving a comment. Let us know what you think. Let us know what topics.
Yeah, what you want to hear about.
And we will.
We'll keep digging.
We'll keep digging.
For those opportunities.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for joining us.
We'll see you next time.
See you next time.
On Investing Talk Podcast.
Bye.
Bye.